Hello everyone, I'm Kavita Parmar and this is Love Thy Work. If you want to know more about this podcast, you can listen to our introductory episode on Spotify. Today's conversation is with a very talented, multifaceted artist whose career I've had the privilege to see up close. Daniel Costa lives and works in a beautiful valley in the heart of Europe and has built himself a life that makes him travel the globe. Hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. First of all, thank you so much, Danny, for coming. I'm so excited to have you here because I remember when the first time I went to visit you and I was so inspired by your space and by what you've built for yourself in that little valley in the middle of, doesn't sound like the middle of nowhere. It felt like that when I drove there.
It's a long drive. Yeah.
It's a long, even though it's not in the middle of nowhere,
No,
it's in
exactly.
the center of Europe. But it was really beautiful to see, how you've built yourself that amazing space. So for me, it was really exciting to have you here to Madrid. So
Thank you, Kavita.
But also for the people at home, I know you and I love what you do and you've been such an important part of what we're building at XTANT. But I also wanted for the people who don't know you to say, what are you, Danny? Because you're a man of such a renaissance man with so many talents.
Well, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to put it in words. I still think I would use a word that doesn't describe so much the activity, but I think it's more like the only way how I can do what I do, and that is being an artist in that sense. So there is a different focus or a different, I think we work, I don't know, at least I see myself as an artist. I don't exactly know how other artists really work, but there is surely, sort of an inner burning and a drive and a curiosity and all of that. Or that in a way it forces me also to take on different roles. Sometimes it's a pleasure and it's nice, right? When I then work with ceramics or when I do painting or when I do weaving or other things. But the underlying red line, I think, is really the... Yeah, then I if I have to put it in one word, then it's really being an artist.
So it'd be really lovely if we go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you tell us how you got started and was design something you always wanted to do as a child?
No. I had no clue. Like the word design did not exist in my whole growing up. And it even didn't exist in my high school education. And then when it was about choosing what to do, I was somehow in between art and architecture. Let's say at that moment, I didn't fully have the guts going for the arts. And I could sense that within architecture, there's also something that didn't feel so right. And then I figured out about the Design Academy in Eindhoven, but it was clearly, I saw a reportage on Arte, but I saw the workshops. That was for me...
Made you fall in love.
Yeah, then I knew this is, sometimes you can hear or you can sense something in all your body. And that feeling I had. So everything was...
buzzing.
Yeah. So then I knew, okay, that's what I will do. And so that was the entrance. But the urge to make, of course, this, not of course, but yes, this I always had. And then... the years on the academy, this was really, really amazing. And then I started to work for Lee Edelkort, as you know.
Yes.
And then I got insights into the industry and into different ways of creative processes, and to be able to one day work on tiles and the next day on very beautiful silk textiles or something. So the mix of all of this was very stimulating. But however, for me, there was a certain pain connected, and that is you come up with ideas, you put ingredients together and you can sense that it's a fertile thing. And then you give it out of hand and you don't know what a company or a client or whoever does with it. And then at one point, this urge was so big to do it myself that I then went to India and to Nepal and so on to learn how to weave and to...
I don't know if you remember, but I remember being in Paris and you were still working with Lee and you came to see us. And
Yes.
I had my collection and Marcella had her collection. And I remember the first time you touched yak.
Yeah, absolutely. Me
I
too.
remember your face.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It was a connection. The other day I was thinking about it, as I was explaining your work to a friend of mine. And I said, and I remembered that day when you walked in.
Me too. I was with Philip. Yeah.
You were with Philip. And I remember you walking in and touching that fiber. And the way your eyes lit up, I still remember. It's really amazing that I remember that.
Yeah, it was very special.
But there was a connection, obviously.
Absolutely. That was also one of these moments where everything sort of resonates.
Right.
And then I knew that this is where I wanted to figure out and learn more and so on. And that is then what led me to Nepal.
How did you get to Nepal? How was that?
How was that? Yeah. Like, I mean, it was so for me.
I mean, it's not so easy, You're sitting in Paris, and then you have to suddenly get up and go. I'm going to Nepal.
But that was very clear. It was not like in that sense. I did have a very clear plan. Like I knew that I want to work with textiles and that I want to have a textile collection, and that I want to learn about these fibers and the communities and the animals and everything that is in the end captured in a textile. And then, as I have touched this yak blanket, then I knew I want to figure out more about those animals. And Nepal was sort of the most accessible at that time. I couldn't afford a trip to Mongolia, or it's much more complicated.
Right.
First, I spent a couple of weeks in India, traveling there and exploring weaving and fibers. But when really coming to Nepal, I could see that, the fibers are rougher, the wool is a bit itchy, but very sturdy. And this is all things I like really a lot, because they connected me in this very strange way to my origins. Like, that is the weird thing. I lived in Paris and I thought I would never go back to where I came from. And then discovering all these things in Nepal, still full of insights. I came back from one of these trips and I was in the cab from the airport to my home in Paris. And I had the travel go by in my mind. I thought I'm analyzing a bit, or sort of filtering what were the key moments of this trip and what is the essence. And as I go through my mental images, then I suddenly realized, hey, this is very strange. Like, the things that had the most emotional links were those that had a connection actually to my origins.
Wow.
And then at the same time, I knew, okay, my time in Paris is also finished.
Wow.
But that was, that was
a brave move, no? I mean, you are in Paris, you are, it's always, people think Paris is so, always so glamorous, but we all know that when you're starting out in a career, it's a lot more cold than glamorous. But even then, you were in an atmosphere, Lee is obviously, as a door to a lot of really interesting humans and people, and you are in a good position.
Totally.
And from there to say, I'm done, I'm going to go to South Tyrol, which is in the middle of nowhere.
But then, that's actually not really a question, because I had lived Paris. And I knew there is something in it that doesn't work for me. But however, a city offers amazing networks and communities and whatnot. But living in a more rural setting, it doesn't make these things inaccessible. They are still there. You can still work with it. It requires an extra effort. But for me, to have space to work and to be in an environment where I feel rooted or connected. that is what I was longing for, and that I didn't have in
Paris. I think it's less noise, right? It's just because there's like continuous distraction in a city. It's a very outward way of living because you have so many inputs all the time.
Exactly, and it's also sort of an environment that is a bit built on consumption.
Oh, without doubt.
Like you cannot. Everything you do is something you need to
buy
or pay for in one or the other way, and everything is sort of the things you buy. Of course, they are made, but then when you buy a ticket to a museum, you know exactly sort of what you're going to see. It doesn't allow so many detours and so on. And in a rural setting, this is very different. But for me, it's really more also about, I don't know, I have a big affection for the landscape, how a landscape is changing. Like you walk 10 steps in a forest and you feel something has changed.
Sure.
And this is things that
a city doesn't give. It's very manicured. It's very manufactured.
Yeah,
sure, that is a fact.
And then you can build up all these relations with, the blacksmiths that can, weld something for you. And I discovered, and I do that more and more, that everything is there.
For me also, what was really extraordinary when I went to visit you was how you had gone from a city, living a life of like being connected with all the movers and shakers, all the big brands, or, being in that continuous cycle of presentations and fall, winter, it's a cycle. It moves fast.
And it's exciting.
It's exciting. It moves fast. There's always like cool things happening. To go to this very quiet place in the middle of Europe, of course, but it's very quiet, it's very far. To get to you, it took us a few hours. But then you've built there, like you've become part of, I wouldn't say built because you've become part of a beautiful community. I mean, honestly, that was so inspiring for me to see. And I would love for you to share that story. Like going there to see you guys having taken over a building that was abandoned with that incredible history and coming together as a community to build it into this beautiful studios. And it was a building that was going to get, torn down, and you fought for it. And so I would love for you to tell that. So I know you still do. But it was I think that's so inspiring, because a lot of times we just assume that, that things don't work, or we let them go because we're not willing to put in the hard work, or but it's worth it, even if it's lasts for a bit.
Yeah, totally. But what I realized, and I still bit by bit realize, is that in schools and so on, we are educated to be a designer or whatnot, to take on any profession. And at one point, this becomes a very fixed thing where you put all energy into reach that, to then really be a designer or an artist or whatnot. And being there, then somehow in certain ways I had to let loose of that, and in Flanders, in this small town or bigger village, day by day, things come in and they become, you feel it's an important thing. And then, I go in it with still in my way of doing things, but then they become fulfilling as well. And then suddenly the spectrum is much wider than trying to be
a designer.
And that, and then you discover, hey, there is so many interesting people around, and he does this, that. The other guy, just bought this bunker and makes a museum or an art space, and there is this abandoned weaving mill, and I don't know, there's a marble sculpting school, and you discover so much, and it's just, and this, I think, for me was really fulfilling, to also make, these human connections and to find my place in it, and to, the German word is mitgestalten, to shape it, like to...
That's a nice word.
To
sculpt it, nearly, to
use
your
your
hands.
Exactly. And that's doing this in this building is was an overlap of interest because, of course, I want to make sure that I can continue my practice in this space, but there's many people who had the same necessity. And then, we were finding ways together to upgrade the building, to clean, to restore, to do all these things.
The story you told me about the building is also so fascinating, that it was a building that was used for...
It's a... Yeah, like, sometimes I don't know what's the most important aspect of that ground is. But if we would talk rationally, it's very capting is, of course, the fact that the terrain had been taken by the fascists. And this is a very painful story because actually we are a German-speaking culture. And then from one day to the other, this region became part of Italy. And then, the fascists at that time would sort of reinforce their new gained terrain, build this crazy military structures. Up until now, it's the most expensive project that Italy has ever done.
Wow.
Building all these bunker spaces and military barracks and so on. So there is these buildings, and of course, it means it's a structure of obedience, of power, of not being human, but being a number, being, what was it?
Was it a jail at one time, you said?
Yeah, it was not a jail, but it was
a detention.
A punishment.
Like a detention center, like where
where
you didn't agree, you went there to be shaped.
Yes, exactly.
Fine, yeah.
So this is all heavy things, but strangely and beautifully, the terrain doesn't have that heaviness as a main quality. And this is fascinating because it's a thriving place, very fertile in many ways, very open, and then it has that history. And once you live in these buildings, you listen to that also, and that's and that is a bit what I mean with sometimes losing this aim of being a designer or an artist or being successful, but to drown or to let yourself also fall into this daily life and the situation you're in. And that makes sense in terms of a product, but it also makes sense in the way I think we can live a daily life and so on.
It's sort of like more facets to a human, no? It's like there is you, individual, as your journey, as who you define yourself with, artist, designer, whatever, your work. And then there is this other part of being part of something that is alive, constantly changing, but local, very, very local.
Yes. And, at least from my perspective, there's a similarity. So if we make a textile or something, or we think of a space, then we organize it in a way that it feels well with objects. But the exact same thing happens then also with other things, right? With in the way we live together in a space, in the way we decide, hey, it's important to keep this quality alive in the village. Is, in another way, we need, a rug with this type of quality in a space, but we need maybe also a certain space or a certain vibe in the living together in a village or whatever it is.
So it's the intangible.
But it
relationship.
But it can feel the same. So
I definitely understand what you say, because for me, for example, this space that we're in, this my studio, I share with my friends, and it truly is for me that it's not just the space, it's the humans who we share space together that really for me make it what it is.
Totally.
And I think it's intangible, but people can feel it. The number of times we've had people walk in and they go, there's something about this space and you don't know what it is. And it's not a physical object. It is this sense of having your back or being home that is there, which is intangible.
Absolutely.
And you find it with these human relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, also. But then again, now it sounds very nice, but it's really very difficult.
Yes.
Because, and that's not the living together or working together, but it's, in our case, we are in the struggle with the town hall who wants to take down everything. And that can have an impact on the living together because everyone is challenged with his and her fears. And then you're in this thing, then you feel suddenly everything is on shaky legs. And then what to do? And then one part of your brain maybe says, "Hey, go work." For a rational mind, it can be very confusing. So why do you spend now again, so much time on
building it when you don't know?
Yeah, exactly. And but if there is an importance, then there is an importance, right? And then I think I have to take this serious for myself. And
well, if you extrapolate it, our lives are are ephemeral. We are for sure all going to die. So this is like, then you can also think, why do anything? Because you're going to die. But we don't. We human beings have the need, the desire to build. And sometimes we spend so much time and energy building something that we might not even enjoy because we've spent all our time building it.
Yeah, so exactly.
Right?
So the question is, what is fulfilling?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's the act of building. Sometimes I feel like it's the desire, the need, or at least for some of us.
Yeah, I think then everyone has different skills and different tasks and so on. What is fulfilling? And that's a beautiful thing that is different for everyone. And that is then why we are never really in our way.
Yeah, I agree. And so I remember going there, and to me, what was really fascinating was seeing how, in many ways, the way you guys live and what you've done there as a group of artists. And I mean, I think there's all kinds of people there. People were running a printing press, I remember.
Yeah.
There was people building sets. It was just all kinds of humans. What to me was really fascinating, and in any way made me very hopeful, was also showing the human resilience, that we are able to take anything that could be built for the wrong reasons or for domination.
Yeah.
And we are capable of turning it around.
That's what I mean. What is then really fulfilling?
Yeah.
Like when you start with somewhere where there is a lack of something, or you feel there is a disharmony, or there is a tension. And if you're then able to work with this and turn it in a way that it feels right, then that is what is then fulfilling. Like, just to make another sleek thing, it's not so exciting. I think the challenge and the win, like the personal win, is much bigger when you have a sort of a certain conflict and you make that into
I mean, I don't, like you very well said, that you're still in the battle for, you still don't have a permanent, approval for the building to last forever, but you have it for a little bit.
We have now 10 years.
10 years. So you have 10 years. And, but to me, I can tell you that being there for just a little while, and not only me, Inigo, my husband, who's nothing to do with the world of art, he comes from the world of, technology. Even both of us, when we drove out of there, we had such an incredible, joyful sense of hope. Cool. It shows that resilience, that human spirit of saying, I will take something that was built for domination, for ugliness, for all the things that is wrong with us as a civilization, and I will make art, and I will make it beautiful, and I will build a community, because you guys are working and living together as a community there. No, you.
Well, we are not living there, not really, but I mean, we live there in the sense of that we are there every day.
And I think you work, pay together, sort of maintain it together, so to speak, which is pretty amazing, because it's not like a landlord.
It all started with also, the own effort we put in it, in putting electricity in, and having windows and and all these things. But now that it starts to solidify, we are also taken serious by the government or cultural institutions. And so now slowly, I mean, we have to really work hard for it, but there is slow support also, so that we can, think of the next steps in terms to keep the building.
I remember there were things that you were organizing. Some people were organizing there for people to come and exchange clothes and do like for the community around.
Yeah.
Just to kind of have them, school people would come from school and come and spend time there. And I think that's also the huge plus that a community like of craft and artisans and artists brings to a community. Where normally what would you do? Be a factory worker or be there's really no. In this little place in the middle of nowhere, what options do these children have? What would Daniel at the age of 8 have done if he had found a place like that? Right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's also really exciting. And to me, it really is a space of education. I have told you, I hope that it becomes part of the educational system because it's so powerful.
Yeah, because it shows different ways. Exactly. And we have this a school of where they learn how to be stone masons and or welders, or like very sort of solid construction craft. And and on the other side there is this there are these artist spaces, and this can be very fertile together. And then there's the other cultural space with the music scene and so on. So it absolutely it's sometimes I'm also a bit now talking about this, I realize again how fertile this whole thing is. Sometimes when you live there in your daily life, and with the struggles and so on, I don't see it so much, but it is there, and to be able to participate in this is really nice. And that is the nice thing, I think, because maybe it sounds now very nice, but I think, and it is, but it can be anywhere.
Yeah,
like that's a bit.
That's to me was really beautiful about it, that you had all of you had come together and did something. Obviously, like you said, you're an artist. You don't have a job that gives you permanent monthly salary. We live from the total uncertainty of how money will be. The relationship with money is complex.
Yeah.
And but in spite of that, to have the desire to do something where you don't know what the end result will be.
No.
But you have to do it because you just have the need to do it. It's like creating a product. It's like creating a product, but really creating a space.
Yes, exactly. But it follows really the same principles.
Yeah. Instinct.
Like when I would work on a painting or on a chair or whatnot, I also don't know exactly what it will be like. And that's the same. Just here, the time is much longer and the space is much bigger. But in essence, it's really, really very similar. Yeah.
I definitely want to do something one summer before with XTANT. We have to do something there because it's such a great example. Like you said, what I love about it is the fact that sharing the story of how you have made it, all of you together, maybe will inspire other people in other parts of the world, especially in Europe, where I feel like we are the most distanced from being able to do things ourselves because we've been so disempowered. I think there's a sense of power that young people can get from being in an environment like that, where they can shape and mold and do something. And it's,
and apart from that, I think also the physical involvement in it is so helpful, because you get a sense of the real, what is it called, common sense, right? Like and that's sort of our minds become more and more like AI minded. And I mean, which is all great that we have these new systems, but once we lose exactly what you said, once we lose the security in us to be able to, make a fire and to cook some meal or something, once we lose that, then, that makes fear, right?
It makes fear.
And this type of daily life tasks, they are great. Like really, they are great. I think it was Rilke there's this beautiful book which is called Letters to a Young Poet. And it talks about a young man who wants to become a writer. And he would write letters to Rainer Maria Rilke, the writer, the poet, to ask for advice. And at one moment in this letters, in this conversation, Rilke tells him, like, his advice is not to aim for the big subjects and the big dramatic things, but to be just focused on daily life. And then he asked the questions, are you artist enough to, be creative with your daily life?
Wow.
And that really brings it, I think, to the point, and I think it solves so many issues. It makes everything much more difficult, because of course it would be nice, right, to be a designer in a company and draw something and everything would be great, and if it's not great, then the people who execute it make it great. But to really be also accept the challenges and the hardship of that daily life brings along. And if it's the community or the town hall who wants to break down the building, then that can be a really creative task or challenge to accept. And the same is, if you don't have electricity, to find a way to get it going. And then suddenly so many things happen on the side, right? That there's new ideas for many things that come out of that. But to to accept that and to take, that is a bit in the beginning why I said, when you asked me what am I or what I do or something, and then like for me, when I say much of me is being an artist, that is something I can implement in all these things.
In your daily life.
Yes, exactly. And and so if I have to put electrical wires on a wall or in somewhere, then I still do it with an artistic mind. There's something that I observe that I think I can use later, or I don't know, I make strange shape or a nice cut in the wall or something, right?
I know you built your own space, which is really incredibly beautiful. Done from an artistic point of view. I agree. It's very empowering to see that. For me, it was really inspiring.
Yeah.
And then you're running your studio from there, which is that you then create beautiful objects, which then you take to a market by going to different fairs or galleries, of course, coming to XTANT, which is one little thing. But you're able to, live that beautiful balance of being in a little village and then also be able to serve the world.
I'm not able to live the beautiful balance, but I'm able to hold the balance.
That's
I think
a good one.
It's really more that. No, it's like
a good one.
I was in a very hard situation this year, and I thought, okay, all my efforts have not worked out. Yeah, no, it was really a hard moment. Yeah, as you said in the beginning, we need to make sure we can pay our rent and that we have something to eat and whatnot. And sometimes this pressure can be very high. And then when you work so many years on a project, where you do everything that it prospers, and the idea of failing is just not on the table. And that is what I really was facing this year, and it was majorly painful. It was majorly painful to accept that, all the things that I have developed, all the efforts that I had made to go to fairs, to go here and there, was not enough. Yeah, that is really,
really hard.
It's really, really hard. And it's not something that I could swallow in one day. I had to approach that thought very slowly, but I had to. And once for me, the struggle was, the circle is not round, right? Like, I have a product and I have this, and then there is something, wrong perhaps with the pricing, or maybe I have the wrong channel of how to bring the product out, and this and that. And, and then I thought back and I thought, shit, I did everything I could have thought of. And still, if I look back, there's not much that I would have done different, or that I probably, of course, I would do things different because I'm a new person now. But there's still, I can really stand behind the decisions that I made, and yet it doesn't work. That brings next to the existential thoughts a lot of doubts. But somehow I have managed to accept it and to let the thoughts, to accept that, yes, it can also not work.
I'm going to push you back on that one because I've gone through that exact situation as you have. But I do think that I just want you to know from the outside, and I know, Danny, it's of no, it's of no, when you are looking, when the real stuff about paying rent and doing things is a struggle. I can tell you that I think the life you've lived is an incredible success story. And I'll tell you why, because I've seen the product you make. I've used, I've bought, I've gifted the product you've made. And every time I touch it and feel it and have it on me, or the people who I've given to who I love it because it's made with such care and joy and it's such honesty. I love that you're part of my my group of people who I can look at and be inspired by, and the journey that you've taken, because I feel like it's a path that we don't know where it will end, but it feels like the right path.
No, exactly. And this is what I have learned in this moment of accepting the failure, or accepting that it doesn't work, or that I realized I'm still, I'm still the same. Like, and then, I went through all these scenarios. Okay, I quit my atelier. And then I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Then I will still have to do some sort of creative work. So if I scale it down, I just work on paper. It's easy to store. But then I realized, okay, then the circle is still not round, but I know that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
And so accepting that, was actually a really great thing. It took away the fear of failing. And then I realized, okay, even if I go and work in a hotel reception, it will still be me. And then, then I'm not afraid to go through this process and, craft a new situation that, that is adapted to a new moment, and also to open this whole spectrum, the view again, that it's not, if then I have this problem with coming, being able to pay my bills for the couple of coming months, okay, then, I will do a job. I went, to look for jobs and so on. But things keep going, and new things come out of it. And, but also again, to open this focus of what is fulfilling, that is really what, where things fall again into place inside, right? Okay, this is the things I enjoy doing, my friends and all these things, they won't collapse just because my business at the moment doesn't work. And and then that was a complete turning point, really very, very strange. And very interesting new creative job or creative projects came up.
There you go.
Really, really, really quite amazing, I have to say.
I've gone through it, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Like I don't have to tell you, but that's all.
That's all. I mean, look at it. you know, it's a very cliched example, but Van Gogh was a failure in his life. And then, you know, the joy he gives to so many people after he's gone is immense. And like, how do you judge failure? Is a failure because you can't pay your rent and you have to move to another place? Is it failure because you don't have a, you know, house by the time you're 50 and to retire? What is failure? Like,
no, and this is really so exactly. And that is, I think, what is much more difficult in a city even. Well, maybe it's not more difficult in a city, but it is a super important task to switch all of these induced expectations off, and what you know, what you should have achieved by 30, by 40 and whatnot. And it's difficult because we grow up with these, and also our schools often, maybe sometimes they leak certain qualities that they don't communicate to the students or that they don't teach. And in this weird sort of social media world, you know, everything looks or is made or
so
seems
curated by,
exactly.
By a lens.
And that actually can do a lot of harm to people if you cannot dissociate yourself from that. And then it can put you on a track where you have the feeling, oh yeah, in order to you know, be understood as a serious company or whatnot, you need to have all of these things.
Yeah, and then you look at all these so-called under serious successful companies and you see the damage that they have in terms of collateral damage of whether it's the product that they're making that actually has a terrible impact, or the social, you know, the way they work, what it does to humans who are in that chain of work. And then you start to question, because you get to an age where you don't buy that bullshit. At least I've gotten to an age.
Absolutely.
I just don't buy it.
And I realize more and more that what really, and this is really nice, I think, what really is important, you know, to make the circle round and all of these things are, again, the human relations and the physicality of it, and the authenticity in it. And it is not what you have on your Instagram, but it's really knocking on a client's door and, you know, showing what you have, like very, very old-fashioned in a way. But it's so nice. And then either the bond is there and the understanding or not. But then you connect on a different way, and that gives at least me a certain perspective of doing business in a different way, and really much more based on human relations, actually knowing. And then the scale is much smaller, but it's doable and it's joyful, and you know where things end up. And
totally. And you know, I look at my own journey where at one point in my career I was selling in over 200 stores, and you know, going back now to where I'm here in this cold little atelier, as you can see.
Beautiful atelier,
a bit cold because we don't have heating. It's impossible. But the other day I had someone come to me and said to me, oh, you know, I love what you do. Wouldn't it be great to go and, you know, sell it to many stores? And I said to them very deliberately, no, I already tried that path. It did not take me to what I have learned to define as success. So that's why this whole thing of...
That's the success in this failing.
Exactly. So to me, I think what is successful is that because of the so-called failure of my own... according to society, I learned that that was not success for me. No, I actually learned a very valuable lesson.
Yes.
It has taken me down another, but I would have never done XTANT otherwise.
Of course,
Imagine.
No,
you know?
It's true, but it just, when you're in that moment, it's important to open up this focus again and accept all of these things. But then,
it's hard.
It's emotionally hard.
It's very hard because you put in so much work.
And we don't, in that moment, at least I seemed not to fully understand the importance of that moment. the fertility of that moment.
And also, I think it's lovely to actually be able to talk to people who have seen you. Like I've seen your journey from when you were with Lee, and I've seen you make all these beautiful things. And I think it's also, that's why to me it's so important for all of us to come together, because I feel like we all live a lot of times as artists, as designers, as artisans, we're living a very alone life, a very,
absolutely.
In our studio, against the world, so to speak. Not against, but you know what I mean.
No, but
like sort of
very isolated.
Very isolated. And so for us to come together and see that we really share a lot of the same fears, a lot of the same frustrations, and be able to just be, hug each other or just talk through.
No, exactly. To have these exchanges and there's so much we can learn from each other, because that really, for example, in my situation where I have my studio now, in this aspect, I have to say I feel quite alone, that there is no one alike with a similar business structure. There's people who do very successful local business, but it's different, right? Like, and then on XTANT, you meet people who are, where you can exchange better, because it's more similar in a certain way. And this, I think, is so important. And that is sometimes what I then miss in schools, but why miss it in schools when there is XTANT? No, it's really to have these exchanges. Like, for example, also what we talk about now, really about now taking a decision to close eventually an activity and so on, and how to make certain steps. That this guidance from schools is, at least I didn't experience that.
Oh, it isn't. It's not even now. I don't think we don't guide people to fail. We give them a story of success. It's a very simple blueprint.
No, exactly.
You sell a lot, you make a lot of money, and that's success. When in reality, it might not be. And
absolutely.
Like I said, to me, there's a lot of success in failing, because every time you're failing, you're learning lessons, and you're also opening paths for people. If you look at lives of people who've been explorers, that's full of failures.
Totally.
And then you have one thing that was declared as a success in the end, but truly the life is full of what so-called failures. When in reality, it's the moment of that where growth happens.
Absolutely.
No, and I think that's something that I feel like we as a society, we really are tremendously bad at, and telling young people, because then you're not brave.
Absolutely.
If you're not trying something new, if you're not trying something honest to yourself, then what are you doing? You're just living someone else's life and someone else's story.
No, and it's true. And perhaps not everyone is also an explorer. I think then again, everyone has different roles, but some people are explorers. Maybe they don't know they are explorers. And then
you definitely are an explorer.
Now I realize myself as such, Or like, I think there's many things that I then try, if it's about different materials or techniques, or even this business, that thing, or the exploring of how to make the circle round. It's true. It's all lived questions, but they can be fulfilling in itself. Like, I think, it's hard, but still, as long as there is this inner drive and curiosity, then I think
I find from the outside, like I said, it's always difficult to be able to say something looking from the outside in, because one can never put yourself in someone's position or shoes. But I can only tell you that looking at a life the way you've sculpted yours, which is that lovely word you used earlier, it's very inspiring, because it's a life that has gone, you've created beautiful product with communities that were not making that quality product. Your work with the nettle, your work with the yak. Whether you continue that work or not, those people have learned to skill up and do something extraordinary that they would never have been asked to do if you hadn't intervened or gone there to push that. So there's something interesting that's already happened. That's changed.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
It's already where everyone up until now made a win. And so either if it's about improving some skills or opening, giving new possibilities in how to weave or what things to mix and so on. So and on my side, I got insights into all these beautiful ways of making a fiber just out of ashes and earth. And so so in itself it's
amazing. And then also you coming now, of course you're working, you were just telling me you're doing work as a curator for a museum, that you obviously, I know that you do work for visual and photography work, because I love your photography work, is incredible. You also are now, you just came from visiting Ramon, the mill, and you're thinking about making a carpet with him. So all of those things you would have never done if you had gone down the typical path of working for a big company, sitting in a big office in Paris, drawing and sending the drawing out somewhere else to be made. Because, how do you even imagine that you can take something and turn it into something of beauty if you haven't gone through the entire process?
Exactly, yeah. And it's then a decision. I'm sure there's people who can work like that and they will also do a great job, but it's the distance for me is too big, and then I'm too curious about all the details. They are too important to and to know with whom I'm working and so on.
And what is exciting you now for going forward, now that you've gone through your little trial of fire?
What is exciting for me now? Yeah, like, I don't know. Now, of course, my head is full of wool and everything that I've seen at Ramon's mill. No, for me, what is exciting is to be. I feel like I have less constraints because I'm not afraid about this failing anymore. So I feel much more loose about what I make at the moment. So that curiosity is really big, and I want to discover that more. I feel excited about continuing this whole journey home, right? And also to bring or to start productions more local, to do more things again myself. And of course, I'm also interested in, or quite excited now about this folk exhibition that I'm curating, because it, then I was often so focused on, product and ideas and objects because I like them. And then, so in the beginning, I had a bit of a struggle with this task of curating because my was still on objects, right? And now that I have let myself fall into this new subject, it's super exciting.
It is. It's also storytelling and sort of making people look at things in a very different way. I know for a fact that you're a great teacher because all your students who were at XTANT this year,
and I couldn't be there.
They were so, I mean, oh my God, their reaction. They were talking about your class and your way of being and having been to see you there. It was so inspiring. I think you really expanded their realm of possibilities in their life. I think that was, you should know that. There was...
Well, that is their win that they take out of my class. Like, that is their input and their win. I have my own interest and curiosity in working with them, right? In understanding who thinks in what way and how can I help him or her to make a little step. But this teaching is very, very interesting.
I love teaching. No, I always feel like I get paid whatever little bit that we get paid for teaching, because it's not a huge amount of money, but I feel like it's such a joy because, I learn so much from my students. I feel that way. I don't know about you, but I feel
totally
invigorated.
And the whole thing of setting up a class, like really to think, okay, what are we going to do that brings everyone further? The students in their own development and me in my development. Like this is amazing, right? And there is great examples that we know a little bit from the Bauhaus that work that way, but there's very little examples actually of, I think, of this way of teaching. I don't have enough technical knowledge really to, but yeah, my classes are then about something else. I think it's really about finding your own access into certain materials and to have to feel yourself more and work yourself then.
I felt like it was the conversations I had with the students who were there, that their relationship with material was so different. It was not as, normally in a design school, it's sort of like there's the material, there's I.
Yes.
That there's some way you had closed that gap.
Yeah,
and it was them and the material was them. And it was really beautiful to sort of hear those stories of how it was really very personal, all the materials they were talking about.
Yeah, of course. But this is sort of what I then wanted to do as a teacher, to find a way, a system or a class strategy to enable that. And then, of course, I have my questions. Okay, if I do the exercise like this, will it work or will it not work? I don't know. And this is why I had a program for the whole week. And then every night I went home and changed my program, because I could see, okay, now we need something else. And this is, and then, I felt so excited about this teaching also, that I wanted to address other universities. And we have a quite well-funded university in my region with, of course, amazing workshops and all of these things. And then I knew from the outside that, there is not much happening on textile, and it's a very sort of rational school. So I addressed them in multiple ways, didn't even get answers all the time. But in the end, the answer was, it's a industrial design and art university. But they decided that they are not interested and they don't need any textile education.
Wow.
So there is an industrial design education, and students don't touch textile.
Wow. That's a perfect example of what is wrong with our current system.
Yeah.
It is not willing to address the major problem that it has, which is that it is actually pointed in the wrong direction. It is pointed, it's still pointed in quantity when we are drowning in quantity.
Absolutely.
And there's no way we can't change it. And unfortunately, the only way to change it is what, I think what we're doing is all of us at the fringes, and there, one of the things that I really, when I went through the frustration as you did, when my things were, according to the world, were failing and I was really frustrated, one of the things that I got thrown at me was by Dr. Carlo Petrini, who said to me, I was lucky to sit next to him in Torino, and he said to me, why would the system change from the top? Systems always change from the bottom. And he said, you, the daughter of Gandhi, would know that. You should know that. He was chiding me. He was like, and it really, really made me realize and understand it is stupid to pretend and to even rant and rave at the system.
Yeah, without doing it oneself and embody it.
And understanding that, that we are the ones that, why should there be a system that is aligned with our values? Like, we didn't come here. We were not invited to a movie that we paid for. We are writing our own film.
Yes.
This is our own movie.
Yeah, totally.
We're going to have to make the script ourselves.
Yes.
And then this time when I was with Satish, she said something really beautiful, which I'm sure you would totally. And I've kept it as my, treasure. And he said, you can live life in two ways. You can live life as a tourist, which means that you will always be disappointed because you have expectations. But you can also live life as a pilgrim.
Yeah.
And the journey is nothing but transformation.
Oh, totally.
It's just, and that's where I realized that I think some of us, without us knowing or admitting, we are pilgrims, because we have to be pilgrims, because otherwise we will be continuously living in one constant disappointment after the other. Because it is true that the current system is not aligned with our values. And so what can we do? Can we just complain, or can we just go on the side and build our own? I would just, how would you, to wrap it up, say to a young person starting out on their journey after having been on yours, that's been so exciting and still a lot to go, what would be the advice or just words that you would say to someone who's...
Well, I think the most important is really to have the center within you, like to really have a feel for what drives you and what fulfills you, and then not be afraid of the challenges that come along. But I think in that way, it's so amazing to explore different things. If the idea is set on a name of a profession or something, it's very hard, and then you're there and it's still not working. But this connection to what drives you, that I think is actually the most precious guidance. And the other thing is the courage just to face the moment when the shit hits the fan. Yeah.
To fail. To fail. I know. I think, you're right. Like, it's about, even though our education isn't built that way, so much of it has to do with the journey in words to sort of find that center, like you very well said.
Yeah, and this, like your curiosity, your appetite, or your creative appetite, it puts you right on a certain track.
Mm-hmm.
And that must be the right track, right? Like, if it's your thing, the only thing that is important to distinguish is it me who desires this, or is it, my surrounding that would
My
want
Instagram feed that's
Yes,
telling me this is what I want.
So that
Yeah.
is a thing. But then I think, then everything becomes so rich. So that's it. I think that's an explorer's path to go. Yeah.
An explorer's path. I love it. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kavita.
And I'm so
Thank you so
excited
much.
actually to be next to you to see this new journey that's coming up. I'm going to get you more and more involved with ideas, crazy ideas that we
Cool.
have in XTANT
Yeah, nice.
about how do we build this fringe movement
Yeah.
that I think is already there. I just think it's about reaching out to each other and sort of like, listening and supporting. But
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Kavita. Great.
Thank you. Gracias. Sé que la luz, because when the sun comes in, it becomes like, wow. It's just like...
that happens also in my atelier, but it's only a couple of hours.